Oh, well, hello! It's me, the Dakota Kai Guy, and today I'm here with my fantasy booking of the 2021 Men's Royal Rumble match. So, Randy Orton and Edge are confirmed to be numbers 1 and 2, and that kind of threw everything off for me and all my ideas and stuff, and kind of screwed things up a bit. And this one was a little bit more frustrating to make because there were just so many possibilities, and I had to rewrite the numberings like 4 different times because I wasn't content with how things were playing out. So, I've settled on this one, and I think it's okay. So, what's most important is the ending. That's what's most important. Everything else in the middle is kind of like eh. But without further ado, let's get into it. So we start off with Randy Orton and Edge, as you know, as you would, and then numbers 3 through 8 end up coming out before anything really happens, right? And that's Bobby Roode, Jeff Hardy, Chad Gable, The Miz, Bobby Lashley, and Otis. So, Otis does his typical no selling thing where he just starts fucking wiggling in the middle of the ring for no reason, which I despise. Okay, so if you can't tell, something bad is about to happen to Otis, right? Because now everyone turns their attention to Otis and they immediately attack them with all their signature moves. So they get all their shots in, and eventually it's Bobby Lashley who locks in the Lashley lock and throws Otis over the top rope to score the first elimination. Right, the Lashley lock kind of gets him unconscious, and then he kind of just dumps him over because Lashley is a powerhouse. Then we get Jeff Hardy trying to attack Lashley. Lashley beat him like 5 weeks in a row with the Lashley lock. He wants to get a little bit of revenge, but it doesn't end well because he ends up getting speared and thrown over the top rope. So Bobby Lashley's second consecutive elimination within the span of a minute. And then Chad Gable attempts to do the same thing, because he has some sort of alliance going on with Otis. So he's kind of trying to cheer him on throughout the whole thing. But it doesn't end well for Gable because he also receives a spear. And that makes elimination number 3 for Bobby Lashley. So now, for the time being, things calm down a little bit, and numbers 10 through 14 will enter the match, that being Dolph Ziggler, AJ Styles, Baron Corbin, Rey Mysterio, and Shinsuke Nakamura. So AJ Styles ends up eliminating The Miz. As you know, he's been blaming him for AJ not being WWE Champion at this moment. And, they're kind of like some sort of little mini feud going on there between those two. So Styles eliminates him to get some sort of revenge, if you can call it that, as Baron Corbin is working on Rey Mysterio. Nakamura and Styles lock up to have their own little sequence. They always produce good work, so that should be interesting. And number 15 is Pat McAfee. Now, obviously, only about 18 or 19 of these people are actually confirmed for the Rumble. I forgot to mention in the beginning. A lot of them I had to fill in myself. Pat McAfee being one of those people I filled in. Typically, they include NXT stars, and I feel like if they're going to include NXT stars, Pat McAfee should be one of them. He's getting a lot of attention. So essentially, after working on Ray for a while, Corbin will eliminate him, and then Dominic will enter at number 16. And Dominic will end up eventually capitalizing to eliminate Corbin as Corbin is distracted working on Nakamura. So that gets Corbin out, and that scores Dominic his first elimination. And then this allows Pat McAfee to intercept, and he will eliminate Dominic. So now McAfee and Styles get in an altercation, and they're shouting. McAfee's shouting about the brand. AJ Styles just like screw the brand, typical AJ Styles fashion. They get an altercation. Meanwhile, Bobby Lashley's in the corner setting up for a spear, and he spears the living crap out of Pat McAfee as AJ Styles manages to step aside just in time, and Lashley will make easy work of throwing McAfee right over the top rope. Then Jey Uso and Sami Zayn will enter at number 17 and 18. So as Zayn enters the ring, he immediately gets met with a Kinshasa from Shinsuke, and then Uso will intercept that, hitting Nakamura with a super kick to stop him dead in his tracks, and he will capitalize on the downed Sami Zayn and throw him out to pick up an elimination for himself. Now Zayn manages to hang on to the rope and doesn't quite get eliminated, and he manages to spurt some insults at Jey Uso, which isn't a wise decision, as he gets himself super kicked off of the apron and subsequently eliminated from the Royal Rumble in a rather quick fashion. Now Lashley and Edge both set up for spears at the same time, and they both hit one, each on Edge hits Ziggler, Lashley hits Styles. And then they lock eyes, and they begin to lock up on each other and wrestle each other. So again, I should mention, not all of these are happening like in quick succession, right? Sometimes there's like quite a bit of time between these sequences and eliminations. I'm just not specifying that. I feel like that's implied. Everything's not immediate. but I don't think I need to cover every single little detail that happens in between these events. But yeah, so Shinsuke and Jay both capitalize to take care of these two guys who were just speared, and they throw them over the top rope. Uso taking Styles out, Nakamura taking Ziggler out. Nakamura then takes the opportunity to Kinshasa Jay right in the face, getting revenge for what he's done to him on the past SmackDowns, and eliminates him from the Royal Rumble match. John Morrison will enter at number 19. Yes, number 19. And then Nakamura's momentum is completely killed as Randy Orton hits him with an RKO. At the same time, Edge is brutalizing Lashley with a spear of his own in a sort of spear versus spear battle, a different version of the spear versus spear. Then Edge and Orton will simultaneously eliminate their opponents that they just struck with devastating maneuvers. Now, Braun Strowman will enter at number 20, and he tries tossing Morrison out, but he does one of his fancy little athleticism techniques in which he does something absolutely outlandish to save himself from being eliminated. He tries to counter Strowman, he tries to perform a springboard maneuver, but he ends up getting caught and just launched out of the ring. So Strowman scores his first elimination, but then he turns around, and Edge and Orton momentarily decide to work together to hit a double RKO on Braun and take him down. He's not eliminated yet. They didn't eliminate him. They just managed to ground the opponent. And then they lock eyes again. You know, they worked together for that brief moment, and now they're just staring at each other intensely. Now, numbers 21, 22, and 23 will enter, which are Big E, Mustafa Ali, and Cesaro. Now, Strowman recovers, and he'll go around knocking everyone down with clotheslines as being the big powerhouse, big guy that he is. But Big E and Cesaro manage to fight back, and while he's able to ground Big E, Cesaro is able to overpower Braun Strowman, and Cesaro will actually man up enough strength to eliminate Braun as a whole from the Royal Rumble in a very impressive fashion. So Cesaro just took Braun out all on his own, and he's looking very strong at this particular moment. Now at this point, Randy Orton slithers up from behind, hits Cesaro with an RKO, but then all of a sudden, the lights go out, and Alexa Bliss appears on the screen. And this is very strange. Orton wasn't expecting this, and he's very distracted. In which Edge will be able to capitalize, and he will be able to take Orton out of the Rumble as he's distracted by Alexa Bliss on screen. And now Alexa Bliss being on screen is also very strange to Edge. So once he sets his eyes on Alexa Bliss, he's also kind of taken his mind off the game. He's distracted, disoriented. So now Mustafa Ali takes the time to capitalize, and he will score one of the biggest eliminations in this Royal Rumble by taking out Edge, who has been in there since number 2. Same with Orton, he was in there since number 1. Now everything at this point obviously returns to normal. Now things settle down a little bit again, and numbers 24 through 29 will make their way into the ring, and that being Daniel Bryan, Sheamus, Xavier Woods, Keith Lee, Kyle O'Reilly, and Elias. Now Xavier Woods immediately targets Mustafa Ali, and he's trying to get revenge. He kind of been sending retribution after him on every episode of Raw, and he wants revenge. And there's going to be a mini reunion in there with Big E, mini New Day reunion, things like that, little details like that. And Sheamus and Cesaro will also have some sort of mini reunion in there. Maybe they'll have like a spot between the four of them, like the old days when they were feuding for tag titles. But most importantly, Woods is focused on Ali, and he tries to get him out, but he fails, and ultimately Ali gets the upper hand, and he tosses him out. And eventually, Bryan will also get the upper hand and eliminate Elias before number 30 comes out. And number 30 is none other than the modern day Maharaja, Jinder Mahal. Now, Mahal gets off to a very impressive and quick start, establishing himself as a legitimate threat in this Rumble, but then he's stopped dead in his tracks by a bro kick from Sheamus. Now, he's not eliminated just yet, but eventually what happens, Keith Lee will eliminate Kyle O'Reilly, Sheamus and Cesaro will end up working together to eliminate Jinder Mahal. And then there's an intense stare down between the 5 remaining competitors, who at this point are numbers 23, Cesaro, numbers 22, Mustafa Ali, number 21, Big E, number 25, Sheamus, and number 27, Keith Lee. Now, Sheamus will hit Big E with a bro kick. Now, Sheamus will find himself getting attacked by Mustafa Ali, and Keith Lee will take out Ali as Cesaro manages to hit a European uppercut to stun Keith Lee. Now, again, Cesaro's looking very strong at this point, like a favorite, but by now, Big E has managed to recover, and from behind, he hits the big ending on Cesaro and tosses him over the top rope to eliminate him and bring it down to our final four competitors. Now, at this point, Mustafa Ali tries to get Big E out. He thinks he gets the upper hand and he turns around with a smirk on his face, thinking he just eliminated Big E. But he was hanging on by a thread. Big E comes back into the ring and manages to take out Ali, avenging his fallen brother Xavier Woods. And now it's down to 3. But now Big E manages to turn right around into a spirit bomb by Keith Lee, and then he picks him up again in the power bomb position to just toss him over the top rope. So now it comes down to Keith Lee and Sheamus. And these two have been feuding kind of on Raw for quite a while now. And they're going to have an intense exchange, as you'd expect, some big blows, two big guys going at it. They've had matches before, you can imagine how that would go. And ultimately, what I have happening here, Sheamus is going to end up bro kicking Keith Lee out of the ring, and he's going to eliminate him from the Royal Rumble to become your 2021 Men's Royal Rumble winner. So that's what I have happening. That's how I would book this. Again, there's a lot of decisions I wasn't necessarily the most content with, or, I just didn't know how to book around. For example, I feel like Braun Strowman should have had a couple more eliminations in there, or things like, Nakamura and Jey Uso should have been more highlighted a little bit. AJ Styles should have been featured a little bit more prominently, but I just didn't know how to book that and, get the most out of everyone. Just because of the way everything was. Like, if Randy Orton and Edge weren't required to be numbers 1 and 2, I could probably add them in separately, either in the middle or towards the end of the Rumble, and have a lot of other things play out earlier on. But yeah, in terms of how things are looking right now, that's how I would book it. Ultimately, the final four is what's most important to me. I think it'll be Mustafa Ali, the Sheamus, Keith Lee, and Big E. At least that's, I think, who it should be. Especially with everything Ali is doing on Raw, all the Retribution stuff, I think it would make perfect sense to have him established as a legitimate threat, make it to the final four. So I mean, yeah, that's the best way I could have booked it. Yeah, there's many other ways this could have gone, many other solutions, and we'll find out what actually happens tonight. But yes, thank you guys for watching. Feel free to leave any criticism in the comment section below, like and subscribe, and share with your friends. So yeah, thanks for watching, and goodbye for now.